Good morning. This is your morning devotional from the Elim Pentecostal Church, Sunderland, and my name is Granville. Living most of my life in the South Wales valleys, you were never far from the sound and sight of sheep. Sheep roamed the mountainsides behind our town, behind where we lived, and often came down onto the streets of the town because there were no one there to stop them, and there were no barriers. That's when the trouble began. They get into all sorts of trouble. They get into people's gardens, into people's allotments. They disrupt the traffic. They'd be chased by dogs, and worse of all, they'd come down during the early hours of the morning on bin collection days. There were no wheelie bins in those days, and so the sheep made havoc of any rubbish left out, tipping over bins and dragging the contents from one end of the street to the other. What a mess. You see, there was no one there to stop them. There was no one there to shepherd them. In later years, when I was able to travel abroad to Mediterranean countries particularly, I noticed that the sheep were never left alone. There was someone with them day and night, protecting them, providing them, guiding them, and the sheep stuck close to the shepherd. In the book of Isaiah in the Bible, and chapter 53 verse 6, it says, "We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way." The Bible in Romans chapter 3 verse 23 tells us that all have sinned and come short of God's standards. And as we look at our lives and as we look around us, we see people living in this state of being astray, living in this state of being sinners. And if we're honest, what a mess we've made of it all. We need someone to guide, to protect, to care, to provide. We need a shepherd. Again in the Bible, in John's Gospel, chapter 10, the Lord Jesus talks about the shepherd and his flock. He calls himself the Good Shepherd, laying down his life for the sheep, sacrificial shepherd, protecting his sheep, caring for his sheep. Now the sheep here, the flock here, are the church. You and I, the Church of Jesus Christ, those who've trusted and believed in him, and he is our shepherd. The chapter 10 goes on to talk about wolves, hirelings, trying to get into the flock, trying to get at the flock, trying to steal them away. Wolves in sheep's clothing. They look okay. They just look like sheep, but it's all outer. Inside, their hearts are ravening wolves, set on the destruction of the flock. The shepherd knows his sheep, and his sheep knows his voice. Those of us who claim to be Christians, that belong to him and claiming as our shepherd, he knows our name. He's most intimate with every detail of our lives. And you know, when you saw particularly an Eastern shepherd with his sheep, they knew his voice. They knew his voice. They were attuned to his voice. So if he called, they came. If he called them to stop, they'd halt. And when we are in relationship with the Good Shepherd, he knows our name, and we hear him speaking to us, clearly and specifically. Samuel in the temple had the privilege of hearing the voice of God. Samuel, Samuel. God calling him by name. God calls us by name. And God gives us instructions when we read the Bible. That's God speaking to us. That's the voice of God coming down to you and to me as we trust the Good Shepherd. It's a trusting relationship, trusting him, Jesus, and what he's done, sacrificed himself, died on the cross to deal with our problem, our sin problem, our going astray. The flock, the church, the body of believers, there are wolves out trying to get in, to steal and lead astray. But you and I can say clearly, without any doubt, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.